Alright, YouTube. See, I got a mess here. It's normal. I'm kind of living a mess. This is kind of how I do things. So, got everything hooked up, lined up, fitting perfect. Well, almost perfect. Nice as I could get fitted up. Got all this beat out straight, and everything's looking good. Getting ready to scribe that and all that. I thought I'd put the fender or the quarter back on again, and I'll be damned if I'm not having the same stinking issue here. And I thought, well, maybe since I pushed this up, it may have moved, flexed it up or whatever. So I went ahead and took me a hammer and dolly and kind of, worked it back down. And, or say worked it back down. I don't think I moved it very much, but so the door's lining up like it's supposed to, all the way down that gap. Looks fine. So that's what I'm going off of. So everything else needs to line up with this door, this gap, and all that. So when I put the fender on, I push it up in there like it's supposed to. I keep calling it a fender. You'll have to forgive my words. I call stuff rockers and fenders and stuff that aren't even. I don't know. My mind doesn't work like it's supposed to. It is what it is. But I know what I mean. So I push this up in there, and it lifts it up in the front again. So I let it relax and come back, and it fits nice where it's supposed to. The lines and gaps and everything are fitting where they're supposed to, like this and here, when it's relaxed. So what I've come to the conclusion of is I am going to have to either bend that up a little bit more, or I'm going to have to cut it. I think I'm going to try to bend it first, and then if I have to cut it, I'll cut it. But it's only from about here back it's really kicking it up. So I'm just going to mark my line over there on that little flange, and I'm just going to take a hammer and dolly and kind of work it up a little bit more. Hopefully I don't screw it up too bad. But alright, I've got this about as good as I think I'm going to be able to get it. Everything's fitting up like it's supposed to. Got all this stuff locked in. I went ahead and hammer and dollied that over a little bit more on this side. It helped. It didn't, make it perfect, but it helped. Got this gap, 1.25 inches like it's supposed to be. All the way up here is 1 5/8 inches, I believe. Once I pull this in a little bit and get that locked down, that'll move into where it needs to be. The door could probably come up just about like that, and my body lines up. A little bit of a gap here, but we may split that and beat that down a little bit and fix that. What else? All this is in where I want it to be. Got this clamped up here. So what I'm going to do is come back with a cutoff wheel, or maybe my saw, and I'm just going to saw down the center of that and split that panel, and then I'll have my gap there. I may clean up these edges a little bit first. I'll probably pull that loose and clean that up, because I don't want to weld to it. It'll beat up pre-welded edge if I don't have to. But yeah, this all looks like it should. Bottom's curving like it's supposed to. This all seems to look pretty nice, and I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do is drill my holes like I did for these. I'm going to put me 2 or 3 little spacers here and there, and I don't know if I can on this one or not. Probably can't, but I'll figure out another couple little areas to kind of put this where it needs to be, and that way I can line that quarter panel right back up where it's supposed to be. And the same with this one. Once I go through this one, it'll line this up, and then I'll come in here in this one that goes to my outer wheelhouse, do the same thing on it. That way all this stuff will go right back into the same place that I have it right now, which, like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. So barring anything jumping up and biting me in the ass, I've had this on and off. It's almost 3 o'clock. I've been out here since probably 9 o'clock this morning, and all I've been doing is fitting it, taking it off and measuring and fitting. And so I even cut this back a little bit here to get that out of the way so it'd go in like it's supposed to. All the gaps here are nice. So cut this back in here a little bit because it was kicking this too far out, and so now that will come in, move in when I clamp it down, but it's not right now. It actually has to come in and down just a little bit, and this will all line up like it's supposed to. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So I appreciate all the comments on the tires and stuff yesterday. I know everybody's got a different idea and opinion on what they like. My dad's the one that got me into this. When I was 5, my parents got a divorce when I was 5, but he used to put me in the back seat of a 67 Chevelle, had a 427 4-speed. It was an emerald green color. I remember it and I mean, it's hard to believe that I can remember when I was 5 years old, but that car made such an impact on me that I kept doing it my whole life. And my dad lives in another state. I only see him once every 2 years or so like that. But he had a green 67 Chevelle Super Sport 427 car with a 4-speed, and it had chrome Krager SS wheels on it and had a black vinyl top. I remember he had hood pins on it because I remember one day it was overheating and I was out there standing next to it, and he told me to stand back because he wasn't sure if the radiator was going to, blow up or whatever. But I remember him taking taking the pins out of the hood, and I thought, man, this is the coolest. When I was 5 years old, I thought that was the coolest freaking thing ever. And I still love that car to this day. If I could get one of those and build it just like that, I probably would. And it just memories, and that's kind of what we go off of. I mean, whatever car we had in high school or whatever memories, cars that we saw that we loved back then and the whole thing, But for me, I'm just moving forward with this one. I'm going to make it a resto mod. I want it to have air conditioning. I want it to have the LS and all that stuff. I want to be able to drop mom and baby in the back seat. Well, baby in the back seat, mom in the front seat, and take off and not have to worry about, man, I hope this thing doesn't, hope the carburetor doesn't get some kind of crap in it or whatever, and just, and it's hogging gas like crazy. Just a little more dependability, but I want it to look just mean as it can freaking possibly be. So the pro touring look is what I'm going for. Like I said, I want all the niceties inside, air conditioning and the whole thing, so we can just take off in it. And I want to drive it. I want to drive this car on a regular basis, not just on Sundays, not just, when the weather's just perfect and all that. No, I want to drive it and not have to worry about it. So I'm trying to make a old modern car, I guess. So that's kind of where we're going with that. Will I cut my fenders all to pieces to get those big old tires under there? Probably not. If it's going to be too much, it's probably not worth it. But the 315s, 335s, 325s, those are going to be plenty big. Hell, that 295 looked really good under there. So, the guys who are saying that, I agree 100%. But I do want to kind of just stuff as much tire as I can, but still have drivability. I don't want to be hitting bumps and rubbing tires and having, that's just a headache. When I had this car used to have chrome 14-inch Kragers on it, and it had this big old gap right here, and I never liked it. So I bought 15-inch wheels, which are those center lines. I like that a little better, but even still, when I'd turn and I'd hit a bump, it'd come up in here and it'd grab a hold of this fender and it'd just tear those tires to pieces. I had cuts all of my tires. I thought, one of these days I'm going to fix that to where that doesn't happen anymore. And so either rolling this or cutting it back or something, and making sure those tires have plenty of clearance in there. That I'll spend extra time doing that. So But yeah, there you go. Like I said, pretty happy with it. This all needs to come in just a little bit more, and it's not squeezed in yet. I actually had a clamp squeezing this together. I think it was this one here. Hang with me for a second, and you can see it. Watch it. See how it moved in? It keeps sliding off the back side here. But once it grabs a hold of that and gets it in like it's supposed to be, try again. Yeah, shit. Well, you get the idea, but I can't have this in here and close the door, so that's my bigger problem. So I wanted to be able to make sure I could close the door, but that basically is how that's going to sit in there. So kind of give you an idea. But yeah, I think we're close. I think we're real close. And I'm happy with the rest of this stuff, so everything looks like it's fitting like it's supposed to. And basically once I pop those holes, I'll take everything out, apart, and start prepping it for some epoxy. And then we'll weld that rocker back in and make it permanent. I'll probably leave this quarter panel and all that off there because I'm gonna mini tub this, so having that off is going to be a big plus. I'll probably do the same on the other side. It just makes sense to me to have all that extra room. Same with that outer wheel tub. There's no reason to have that in there. There's no reason to weld that in there, you know. So what I'll end up doing is welding this, and then once I get this epoxy down here and all that, I'll plug weld those, and that'll hold this in place. And then I'll just go ahead and pull the rest of the quarter panel and everything back off, and that outer wheel well and all that. So yeah. Alright guys, that's it. See ya. Alright, we're going to lock down. Showed you this already. These gaps look real nice. Hopefully that's showing up. Went ahead and put some little bolts in here to hold this where it needs to stay. Got that clamped into place. Went ahead and split that. So that's where that'll go. I'll have to finesse it a little bit. I know this is a little bit up high, but this is just clamped, so it needs to come down just a little bit. So, but just showing you what I got there. Instead of having that overlapped, we're going to butt weld that. Everything else is looking pretty shiny. Body line, door gaps. I said that probably needs to come up just, the door needs to come up just a little bit. But and then down here at the bottom I'll have to figure out something. It's a little tight, but we'll work that when the time comes. That's a later on project. So that too, and I don't have the inner structure in here with the striker either, so that may pull that back a little bit too. So yeah, there you go. It's moved over from where it was over here back to where it's supposed to be. See that inner panel, and so it's all fitting up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I spent a lot of hours doing this. You know, it didn't just fall right into place, but not too bad. Not too bad. I can't complain about it. Definitely can't complain about this quarter panel. I mean, really, it was a nice part. AMD did a good job. I did a whole lot less fitting on this than I did on the ones I had to put on Daryl's Camaro, which I'm not sure where. You know, I mean, obviously I'll come from Taiwan, but I'm not sure which plant in Taiwan they came from, but I had to do a little more slicing and dicing on it, but we made those work too. So alright guys, I don't know if that'll be it for today or not. I gotta put, all I'm gonna do now is just pull all this stuff back apart, start prepping it and scuffing it and doing all that for the epoxy, and then I'll come back and weld that thing in. And but yeah, for the most part I'm gonna finalize this rocker and that inner quarter window channel or whatever. I don't know what those are called, but once we do that, we're going to be uptown. Then we'll move on to the other side. We've kind of decided that we're going to do the rockers first, and then since the rockers are pretty much the foundation of your car, everything else kind of goes up from there and off of the rocker. So I'll do the other rocker on the other side. Like I said, I don't see near as many issues with that one, hopefully, than that, you know, this one been hit and everything on this side. So hopefully that's all factory over there and I don't have to fix anybody else's work. So, alright, see you guys.